Hi everyone! Today's lesson is called Species Survey. In today's lesson, we'll learn what makes a habitat suitable for plants and animals, and we will compare the life cycles of different species. We're going to start with our vocab, so make sure to get out your garden journal and take notes while you follow along. Our first word is habitat. A habitat is a place where the needs of plants and animals are met. It's where they live. You might already know what the habitat is of some animals. For example, what do you think the habitat of a shark is? What about the habitat of a monkey? What about the habitat of a ladybug? A microhabitat is like a miniature habitat, so it's a place where the needs of plants and animals are met on a really small scale. If we want to really think about the difference between habitat and microhabitat, let's use the example of fish in the ocean. Some fish, like whales, have a habitat that crosses practically the entire ocean. They swim so many miles every year. Other smaller fish have a microhabitat, like one single piece of coral that they live in their whole life. Species are different types of living organisms, and there can be many species that seem similar. For example, there's many different species of birds and many species of fish. Some species are endangered. An endangered species are plants or animals that are going extinct or disappearing slowly from the earth. One endangered species I can think of is the monarch butterfly. There are also other endangered species, like pandas or lions. Anything can go extinct if it has too much pressure on it. Some things that can make a species go extinct are habitat reduction or overhunting. To use the same example of the monarch butterfly, you can see in this graph here that the population size has been shrinking over the last 20 years. Although populations can go extinct, we can also help them to grow again and become a thriving population. Our school garden helps monarch butterflies by providing them lots of food on their journey. Our last word, identification, means to classify something or learn about it. We can identify what type of species things are through their different characteristics. Some species can be tricky to identify because they look very different in different stages of their life. This example from the monarch butterfly again shows that in the caterpillar stage, it looks completely different than when it grows up and becomes a butterfly. In the example of birds, we can use many different things to identify them. Things like beak shape, breast color, wing color, and size are all things we can use to identify birds. In general, identification takes really good observational skills. We'll practice it when we're all in the garden. Thank you for being such a great listener. Now it's time for you to hear from your garden educator and see what's going on outside.
Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Mary in the garden at Oceano. Well, that was a really interesting series, and this is our last activity for that series. And I just think it's so interesting to learn how all the different parts of our world interconnect in nature. So we talked about weather, we talked about the food chain, and now I have a video for discussing species. And part of our species survey is to take a look at different creatures and being able to identify them. So in our activity, what I want you to do today is I want you to get your garden journal and I want you to draw the creature that we are about to observe. And I want you to be able to do an identification of this creature by examining it after you do your drawing. So let's take a look at this interesting fellow. And I am going to say goodbye in this video because this is the end of the series. And I have another series coming up soon. I hope you get to see it. But in the meantime, let's take a look at that interesting creature. Bye. Something weird is going on here. I was seeing this ground move, just a bunch of mulch. Let's see what's going on here. The heck? Oh my gosh. Look at that. He's playing dead. That is probably the biggest potato bug I have ever seen. Let me see if I can get him moving. Oh my God. These are the ugliest creatures. And this guy is huge. Look at him compared to my thumb. Now I'm right next to him, which is creepy in itself. But this is such a specimen. So this is the Japanese potato bug, and he is probably so creepy, but he is a good beneficial insect. So we learned in our classes about harmful insects and beneficial insects, and this guy, in all his bizarre look, he is actually a good creature. And the reason that he's a good creature is one of the main things that he does that's really helpful is he does help in breaking down things that are, composting, but he aerates the soil. And by aerating the soil, he digs these deep holes into the soil. That's kind of where he hangs out. And it allows for getting oxygen down in there, and also for oh, there he goes, he's on the move. Also for getting water deeper down. But this guy is got to be the record biggest one I have ever seen, and I have seen quite a few. See how he's digging down in there? He wants to hide out in the top covering we have here, the mulch. And that's his home. That's his habitat. So anyway, I think I'll leave him alone because he is, after all, a good guy, a beneficial. So what's the moral of the story? Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge that he's ugly, but he's a good guy. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Let's see what you learned. Try and answer these questions in your garden journal. You can pause here to copy them down.